Students, including students who are LGBTQ, access free from discrimination.
Is that so? What's the definition of a woman? You haven't given me that. You haven't answered my question.
I think that's almost secondary to the important role that I have as Secretary of Education.
Woo! Biden's Secretary of Education doesn't know what a woman is. Spoiler alert. We have gotten dramatically less intelligent as a species. We definitely don't know what a woman is. But with that, welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend, where we like to call out the lies, hypocrisy, and corruption of tyrants, shine the light of awareness on woke absurdities, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters. In today's news, the House of Representatives, part of the U.S. government, has just voted to do something absolutely horrible. They are protecting women's sports by only allowing women to compete in them. The discrimination. But nonetheless, the House of Representatives has voted to ban biological males from competing in women's sports. What this means is women's sports are for women. Everybody else, you are discriminated against because you are not a woman. Common sense. Now we'll take a look at some clips and some other info on this, but this has to do with Title IX. And while this is like a very common sense thing to have happen, it's kind of surprising given the state of the world. So of course the Republican dominated House of Representatives has voted to ban non-women from competing in women's sports. Imagine that! It'll now go to the Senate, which is controlled by the communists, and therefore this bill probably won't go through. It'll get shot down, or President Biden will throw up on it and just ruin the whole thing. A lot of applesauce in that vomit. You can't use the bill after he's got it. Veto it with vomit power. Hell yeah. Now we'll take a look at some details of the bill in just a second in an article, but first, here's just a short clip of a wonderful member of the House of Representatives talking about how they have passed the ban on non-women competing in women's sports.
Today we will pass this historic legislation to protect women and girls in sport.
Weird how this has to be historic. It's good that it's happening, but weird. And also protect women in women's sports, which zero Democrats voted to do. Why can't we give women equal rights? It's like pretty soon in the name of like protecting trans men, the Democrats will vote like, dude, women shouldn't be able to vote. Yeah, they shouldn't be able to get jobs either. Probably should cover their face in public. In fact, how does the Taliban treat women? We can get a lot of good ideas from that. We've got to suppress women in the name of protecting men who say they're women. Let's go on.
Thank you so much to the incredible work. I know that there are so many personal stories, and in addition to these wonderful women members of Congress, we have...
Okay, that gets pretty boring, so we'll cut it off there. But that's the deal, announcing they've banned non-women from women's sports. But of course, there's controversy. Some people aren't happy about this. Honestly, including me. Like, biological men can't compete in women's sports anymore. That sucks. You know, I like to consider myself a healthy, fit guy. I'm still delusional enough and in denial of reality to think I'm a pretty good athlete. But I'll tell you, like, competing against men is tough. It is much harder than competing against women. So with this historic ban, assuming it goes all the way through, which it won't, but if it did, this takes away so much in the way of opportunity from me in my competitive efforts to defeat women. Like, I'm just after the significance of a first place trophy. But if I have to compete against men, I'm probably not going to get those trophies. And I mean, at the very least, I would have to train hard to be able to win competitions against men, and that feels like literal violence to me. So at a personal level, I'm so disenfranchised that I'm not going to be able to compete against women. But I am still all about it, competing against kids. For sure, absolutely. Screw those women. I don't want to compete against them. The kids are much easier competition. I identify as 9 years old. Here's what I'm thinking. Pee-wee football, middle linebacker, right? Breaking collarbones every single play. Other kids are limping to the sideline with a clavicle sticking through their neck. You're welcome. I'm just out here excelling because I am a dedicated athlete. Maybe the parents get mad at me because they're transphobic. There's bigot parents. They're practically fascists. So this bill is forcing me to withdraw from women's competition, which can only mean one thing: only kids' competitions from here on out. So let's flip over to an outlet that I really enjoy perusing to get information about what's going on in the world, the Daily Wire. And here you can see the title of the article where we're going to dissect the issue a little more. 0 Democrats vote for House bill to protect women's sports. Why don't the Democrats want to, not even one? Why don't they want to protect women? I don't know. It's not very advantageous to the Marxism and communism that is part of their agenda, but it's a party of loving and accepting people. In this case, unless you're a woman, then we're actually not looking to protect you. We're looking to put you into dangerous situations. Fun fact, a biological male competing as a female in women's MMA has fractured the skulls of multiple opponents. So we need to protect athletes like this so that they're able to inflict more harm on biological women. Dude, I don't think I could do that. You have to kind of lose your soul if you're, as a man, willing to beat to a pulp women. I remember a world where men weren't supposed to do that. So, looking at this article, beautiful. We've got Nancy Pelosi there. Take a closer look. American flag on her little spaceship-looking jacket. That's surprising. What's not surprising, we want to highlight she's got the Ukrainian flag. She is definitely out for their best interests. The House of Representatives passed legislation on Thursday to protect women's sports leagues by banning male athletes who identify as females from competing. The Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act 2023 would amend Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 such that the recipients of federal financial assistance which operate sports leagues cannot permit a person whose sex is male to participate in an athletic program or activity that is designated for women or girls. My interpretation of that paragraph is if a sports league receives any level of federal funding, this ban would apply to that league. But the plot thickens with a little controversy. The Democrats have gone to great lengths to call this bill extreme. They wouldn't exaggerate, would they? DeSantis, the don't say gay bill. He hates gay people. They wouldn't exaggerate at all. So we got to pay attention to this part. The Democrats have gone to great lengths, being almost hysterical. I'm glad they do that. Dude, just get hysterical. You seem more convincing, not of your argument, but more convincing that you are mentally ill. So keep being hysterical. We get to find out who you really are. Being almost hysterical to call this bill discriminatory. That is accurate. This bill is discriminatory. That's what it's meant to do. By protecting women's sports, you are literally being discriminatory against any human that is not a woman. And the discrimination says you're not allowed to compete in this league. It's good discrimination. But it's discriminatory. This is horrible. Dude, prosecuting murderers, that is discriminatory. It's like you're telling me I have no right to take the life of someone else. That itself is discrimination. Ladies and gentlemen, we need discrimination. It helps create law and order. Now, I'm not talking about unjust discrimination. I'm not talking about discriminating people based on their skin color, even though the left is highly promoting discrimination based on skin color. It's called racism. I remember a wonderful man. His name was Martin Luther King Jr., wise man. And he once said, don't judge a person based on their skin color, judge them based on their character. So he's basically saying discriminate wisely in a non-bigoted way, in a way that's based on the merit of reality. Don't discriminate based on skin color. Cool. So what Martin Luther King Jr. outlined is healthy discrimination that creates boundaries that helps create law and order. If you have women's sports and just anybody can play women's sports, then that designation of women's sports means absolutely nothing. You have no order of enforcement. Your body discriminates. It's healthy for you. When you eat food, it goes into your stomach, then small intestine, and then colon, then you poop it out. And meanwhile, you're absorbing things. But if you just ate food and your body didn't discriminate, it's like, hey, come on, be wherever you want. The small intestine, that's where food's meant to be, so you can do what's called staying alive. But we're not doing any discrimination because they just said it's bad. So eat food. Let's let that leak all over your body. Should be good. Hey, you've got fecal matter in your colon. Let's just open that up, quit discriminating, and let the fecal matter go all over your body. You'll die of sepsis real quick, but we've got to end discrimination. Back to the article. The legislation passed with 219 affirmative votes, all of which came from Republicans, and 203 negative votes, all of which came from Democrats. And it goes on. Representative Virginia Fox, a Republican from North Carolina, says it's quite telling when the other parties attempt to tear things down without offering an alternative vision. Democrats refuse to posit a reason for allowing biological men to compete in women's sports that comports, don't know what that word means, with principles of athletic competition. Critics of allowing self-identified transgender athletes to compete in women's sports leagues note that men have inherent physical advantages over women. The fact that people are trying to convey this information to another side that pretends to not know it. Like ask what a woman is. We saw the beginning video clip. Cool, let me activate the program. I don't know what a woman is. That's the talking points. I am just a puppet. I have sold out. I am the purveyor of propaganda. I am not doing things in the best interest of people. I am doing things in the best interest of the agenda. What agenda? Whatever the puppet masters want. I'm just a talking head. Ask me what a woman is. I really know how to say I don't know. I really know how to divert the conversation so I can answer the question by 100% not answering the question at all. I don't know what a woman is. I know you're trying to tell me what a woman is. I know you're trying to tell me how biological males have an advantage. I just can't comprehend it. I'm not a biologist. And then just a couple other highlights that I think are noteworthy here. The phenomenon has dominated headlines in recent years. Yeah, I've heard about it. Track athlete CeCe Telfer won an NCAA Women's National Championship after competing with fellow men in the previous season. Wow. Wonder why he won the women's competition. He must just train hard. And transgender swimmer Leah Thomas tied with female champion Riley Gaines and was honored by ESPN for a Women's History Month segment. That is so weird for a couple of reasons. First off, biological male honored for women's history. The second off, Leah Thomas is currently competing. It's not like in the history. So, Women's History Month, let's take something that's not historic because we don't have a precedence of allowing non-women to compete with women. We don't have that in history, so let's take something that's not history, it's in the present, and just pretend this is history. I identify it as history, so it happened 50 years ago this year. That makes sense? And here's something really inspiring. An MMA fighter, Fallon Fox, was accused of breaking multiple female opponents' skulls after he began competing as a woman. I like how that's framed as an accusation. Cool, you broke their skulls. I don't really know who did it. I mean, it was my knee that hit their skulls, but these are pretty unjust accusations. And then lastly, Democrats nevertheless claim that the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act is discriminatory in nature. I've given you my thoughts on that. But now we enter the creature from the Black Lagoon, Representative Nancy Pelosi, previously Speaker of the House, and a fine one at that, said in a floor speech that she opposed the bill because trans kids are all God's children and belong in sports, in schools, in books, in families, and on teams. Apparently, as long as you don't abort the kids that she wants you to abort, then they belong. But she says trans kids are all God's children. First off, I don't think Nancy Pelosi believes in God. I'm sure she kind of says it, but communism's taking over, so she's probably really eroding the public facade of faith. Even if she does believe in God, she 100% isn't serving God's agenda. I might be crazy, and I definitely am, but I think this is a sane thought. In the world we're in today, when we see all the division, we see an absolute assault on truth, an assault on freedoms. Even here in America, what we're really looking at is spiritual warfare. There is a war right now between God and Satan. I truly believe Nancy Pelosi is serving Satan's agenda. I doubt she consciously knows that. I doubt she sits there and says, yeah, let me serve Satan's agenda. But I think she absolutely is being used by Satan and many other people who promote dangerous ideologies, which are typically framed as, this is for your protection, and we need to be inclusive. That's the fingerprint. I think they're serving Satan's agenda, and I don't think they know it. Just like the best way to control anyone is to make sure they don't know that you are controlling them. I think Satan is using these people, and they don't know they're being used by Satan. But I think they're absolutely 100% loyal to the agenda of Satan that they are trying to rot people's minds, bodies, lives in America with. Bringing it home with the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act. We don't know what a woman is. We don't know what a girl is, but we've got to protect them. Now faces a vote in the Senate, which is narrowly controlled by Democrats. Damn it. The White House issued a veto notice on Monday clarifying that President Joe Biden would oppose the legislation. Right, so it's not going to go through. Biden's going to eat his applesauce, throw up on the bill, veto it, take money from Ukraine, business deals, illegal things. He doesn't have time to let this bill go through. He's got more important crimes to commit. Again, I don't think this bill will actually be passed into law. However, looking at the positives, I think it is a positive that a part of the U.S. government, in this case, the Republicans in the House of Representatives, by the way, new shirt, check it out. I have ADD right now, that the Republicans in the House of Representatives, they have voted majorly so to ban non-women and women's sports. So I think that's a good sign. At the very least, it raises awareness. It helps more people understand what's going on. And it also shines the light of awareness on what I call the evil tyranny of the 209 Democrats that all voted no. We don't want to protect women in women's sports. We want to protect men who are dressed up as women because we want the toxic male patriarchy to win out. But we're calling it inclusivity. So nothing to see here, folks. Just don't think too long or too hard about all this. So let me know what you think in the comments below. I really appreciate you watching. And I do genuinely want to give a big shout out to this video brought to you today by one of my favorite companies on earth, Bioptimizers and Magnesium Breakthrough. Hey, my friend, I am proud to say today's video is brought to you by Bioptimizers and Magnesium Breakthrough, one of my favorite companies on the planet. I'm going to share something with you that I don't want to. I've been a little bit frazzled lately. I'm under deadlines all the time with work. I've also got my family responsibilities, and I'm keeping up to speed on world events, which tend to be stressful. So it's left me frazzled and stressed out throughout the day. And then I remembered Magnesium Breakthrough. I'm used to taking it just before sleep, which is incredible, helps me sleep better and reduce stress. But then I started taking it in the morning with my morning coffee, which I find helped balance me out, not just from the coffee, which I love, but also balanced me out from the stress that I'm under starting the day, so that the things I encounter that would normally start to feel really stressful just started feeling like regular things that I was doing, which is exactly how they should feel. And Magnesium Breakthrough helped me get there. Magnesium Breakthrough contains all 7 potent forms of magnesium that your body needs to support over 300 functions, including feeling calm, centered, and in control of your stress levels. If you want to bring more of that into your life quickly and easily, then go to magbreakthrough.com/JPReacts. And while you're there, use the discount code JPReacts10 for a discount. And Bioptimizers always loves to give away free gifts with purchase. That's one of the reasons why I love them. Thank you, Bioptimizers.